Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll make my remarks brief. First, I want to thank our speakers today, Mr. Crosby and Mr. Chilton, and your wife that came up here. I also want to touch on the three gentlemen that just spoke, and Sheriff Arpaio that isn't here, who I know was here last time. This is the exact reason we put these gentlemen on this committee. Gosh, you can't get this kind of insight, this intel, this information with us. We rely so heavily on people like these sheriffs to give us the accurate description of what is actually happening. That's their job. And so I just want to publicly thank, once again, these fine sheriffs. And it's so unfortunate that when you have a bill like S-744, that they wouldn't bring you in. You are the tip of the spear, and they just cast it aside. And it's frustrating, but it's especially frustrating to our citizens that have to bear the brunt on a much closer and personal level every day on the border. I mean, how would you like to live with a gun underneath your pillow or next to your bed? You know, so again, I want to thank these gentlemen for the work that they do. Right quick, and Sheriff Babu has always made this point, and I've always loved it. We have 28,500 United States troops on the North and South Korean border, securing their border. And they do a pretty good job of it. Why aren't they here? Yeah, why aren't they here? Israel does a really good job securing their border from all sides. Yeah, it's possible. The sheriff lives in a community that has done it. It is all about political will, and it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position. I do want to talk very briefly about S-744 because it has been a topic of discussion. There's two questions I always ask when it comes to this bill that nobody seems to have a really good answer for, and I'd be happy to be educated today if anybody can give me answers to these questions. You know, we hear so much about, well, yeah, but don't worry, we're going to find them. We're going to fine and impose a fine. They got to pay their way. We've heard this, right? They're going to have to pay their way. They're going to have to, you know, pay what they've worked before, or pay these fines, and then these things can happen. I say, oh, okay, what if they don't? Now do you round them up and deport them? Now we get that political intestinal fortitude to say, well, you didn't pay a fine, so now you're out? I think we know that's not going to happen. And the second question I ask is, okay, let's say that everybody pays their fine and we grant amnesty to 11, or what I like to say, closer to 20, 25 million illegal aliens. What happens the next day when 7 more come through his ranch, 100 more come through his county, 1,000 more come through his county? What happens the next year when we have another 1.2 million? And 2 years from now, we have another 7.8 million. And 10 years from now, we have another 11 million. What happens? Because I don't think anybody's dumb enough to think that they're not going to come anymore. I don't think anybody's dumb enough to think that the border will actually be secure. And we're going to have this lockdown mentality all of a sudden. So what happens when in just a matter of years we go down the same road again, as we've done already in 1986? What happens next? And now is it this, as Mr. Crosby said, this gold-plated, diamond-studded revolving door? We'll just come on in. And I think we're all aware, if you haven't, let me educate you on this. Once granted citizenship, now you can petition to bring family over. So when you really have 11 to 20 million illegal aliens, that number will balloon pretty exponentially pretty quick, because grandma and mom and dad and brother or sister that's left behind can now come too. So 20 million is what, 40, 60, 80? With just what we got today. And again, what happens in a year, 2, 3, 5, 10 from now when we have this all over again? What happens? Well, now you're going to get tough on that population. Now you're going to deport them. Now you're really going to secure the border. Now you're going to, please. And that's how you lose a country. Because now when you have 20, 40, 60, 80 million people on social services, many of them, on Obamacare, many of them, and all these other, how do you pay for it? Never mind the rule of law aspect, that's just right out the window. Let's forget that part. How do you sustain as a nation when you can just keep inviting and you're just now saying and proclaiming to the world, anybody come on in and we'll take care of you, but how does that happen? We're already on the verge of bankruptcy as we are in this nation. It can't happen. And that's why I just implore everybody, and the Sheriff, Bab, you did a great job of outlining it. It's got to be more than political will. It's got to be more than political expediency. It's got to be more what feels good to get you reelected. It's got to be about the American people, I hope. And again, my sympathies go out to the Chiltons and so many like you, that if any of us had to live the life that you live in fear as United States citizens, we would be outraged and calling our media and calling our mayor and calling our representatives and calling, but this is what they've dealt with for years and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I can say that because nobody's bothered talking to them or these guys that deal with this problem in terms of writing legislation to try to fix it. And so I just want to thank, again, the people that are here that do something about this. I want to again offer my apologies that we're here to try to represent you. We're here, our first sworn duty is to protect the American people, protect the Arizona people. We're not doing it. We're not allowed to do it. And I'll finally end on this. Senator Griffin brought up the fires. You all remember a couple years ago, when John McCain got lambasted because he dared to imply that some of these fires were started by illegal aliens. He had to recant those comments so fast. But did you hear some of the testimony today? Have you heard some of these things? Boy, it's actually maybe true. But when somebody finally wants to speak out about it, they get speared. And it's just, it's a shame. So to my co-chairs, I appreciate this time. And I'm sorry I wasn't here last meeting. I think our baby girl was born on the day of this meeting, so y'all can forgive me if I wasn't here. But thank you for being here, and thank you again to all that bring these issues to light.
Thank you.